Yes, let me do some introductions now. My name's Rodney Featherstone. I'm head of commercial at PB Tech and look after our business-to-business operations. It's been a great year for PB. We opened another store in our retail division yesterday at Westgate. So I hope if you're in that neck of the woods, you can pop along over the Christmas period. But yes, I look after the commercial team, and I'd just like to introduce you to Victor Marengo. First up, Victor, why don't you say hi and introduce yourself as our licensing guru?
Thanks, Rodney. So I'm Victor. I look after software and licensing at PB Tech. So we have a specific business unit that looks after that product set, and I oversee the team and all the brands underneath it.
And Craig, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Awesome. Thanks, Rodney. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Great to be here. My name is Craig Galloway, and I'm a Solutions Architect at Ingram Micro. I cover anything from Azure through to modern work. And today, definitely just going to be spending all the time on Microsoft 365 Copilot and the surrounds.
Good. And lastly, Liam.
Thanks, Rodney. Afternoon, everybody. My name's Liam Buttner, so I look after the modern workplace portfolio at Ingram Micro, and a bit of an extended arm working with PB Tech, and have been across the modern workplace portfolio for a number of years now, and pretty interesting getting into this AI stuff.
Excellent. Now let me share my screen with everybody. I'll just run through what we're going to be covering off today. So we've got an agenda here. We're going to be talking about why we use AI in an organization. It's obviously a really impressive topic today. We've had 2023 has been a year of everyone talking in the IT industry and around the barbecue about ChatGPT. So we're going to be covering off why you'd use it. We're going to be demonstrating Microsoft's Copilot for Microsoft 365. Craig's going to be doing that. Then we're going to lay down some groundwork about data security and privacy. From there, we'll go on to other Copilot products and licensing and go through what you need to think about and when it's going to come and all those kinds of things. Then we're going to talk about the differences between Copilot and other AI capabilities around the OpenAI service. We've got a little customer demonstration case study that we've worked on at PB Tech and our software development team with AI in working in business. And then we're going to hand over to Victor, who's going to talk us through some readiness next steps and what we can do from here. So without further ado, why don't Liam, you take over and tell us a little bit about the history of AI and why we'd use it in the business.
Awesome. Thanks, Rodney. Cool. Yeah. So just a little bit around, I guess, the backstory of AI and why it's, the last sort of 24 months where it's just been so topical. I guess it all started in November 2022 with ChatGPT being that full public release. So we've just had its, 1-year anniversary birthday come up this last month, so this year. And that brought in a whole new raft of, both entertainment and issues that both education, businesses alike have already faced or will start to face. So ChatGPT was incredible in its adoption timeframe. It reached 1 million users in 3 months. So it's a bit of an adoption timeline that a lot of technology and software companies use. And so the next closest to that was Facebook, which took 4.5 years to reach 1 million users. So incredible the uptake of that. And I'm sure there's a raft of reasons why. So it's a great tool. And it's great fun, but it also came with a lot of pitfalls. And a lot of that information that was provided can actually be used to train the unsupervised large language AI model that the public obviously have been using that ChatGPT version. So some examples around that is what we saw with Samsung and its code being leaked by asking ChatGPT how to fix it. And so from a technological advancement, it was a little bit bittersweet in some ways. And it went far beyond, the classic Google word search now that can be asked to fully paraphrase questions with full complete answers in that conversation style. But obviously, the other side to that is the leaking of information, both personal and, of course, business related. So with a lot of these productivity gains that were foreseen with this, there was unfortunately that balance of the unacceptable, usage of public-facing chatbots, forcing businesses to accept AI and then build policies around that. So we're starting to see more of this AI chatbots from those tech giants, including Microsoft's massive investment of $10 billion into that ChatGPT space. And this has now resulted in Microsoft creating purpose-built, privacy-centric versions, giving way to the Copilot product suite and products we'll be working through today. So I guess there's a couple of key takeaways from what I would class as the AI tech boom, or the AI revolution, as some call it. And I guess starting off with, we all carry digital debt. It's an influx of messages, emails, communications that we action every day. The price of that type of work is absolutely increasing, with our ability to keep up with it decreasing. And so many studies are showing that employees and workers lack time and energy to do their job, which, their workload's increased, which is leading to, I guess, statistics showing that they're more likely to actually struggle with innovation and strategic thinking like they might have used to. Secondly, people and businesses are a lot more eager to use and have that uptake of AI to lift that weight of some of those mundane tasks for work, rather than actually thinking about the likelihood of AI replacing their jobs. So more looking at it as a assistance rather than a replacement, and so being more effective. So see a lot of CEOs, when Microsoft did a recent survey, it was over 75% actually agreed that businesses who adopt and leverage these AI's services and products correctly will have a huge competitive advantage in their industry moving forward. And lastly, there is a new requirement or skill that will need to be created for both technical and non-technical roles to leverage and, I guess, in turn create that AI aptitude across that business and then that industry really and their customers. So I guess lastly, there's a huge amount of there's a small amount of users that have already had access to Microsoft 365 Copilot, and the ones that have been in that preview, over 77% have already said that they will not and do not want to go back to the old way of working. So there's a few things around why AI and Copilot, but I think this really shows that this is the way forward, and the things it can do for your business, it's just going to be incredible.
Wow, 77%. That's a huge number. So I look forward to using it myself and making my life a lot easier. So Craig, why don't you start kicking into this and talk us through just a little bit about the groundwork, and then we'll go straight into the demonstration, because that's the exciting part of today's session, showing us about how it will work for our businesses, how it will work for us as individuals. So Craig, over to you.
Thanks very much, Rodney. Thanks, Liam, and great setting the scene there. So just from I suppose an AI perspective, Copilot, I think that word has been driven through our emails and through our marketing channels, and Copilot's going to be assisting with this, and there's going to be Copilots for everything, which it really is going to be. So it really boils down to, how do we as a business leverage AI tools such as Copilot, and just make sure that we actually understand those tools, that we utilize them to their best ability, and make sure that our users and our user bases are comfortable with those tools. So I thought we'd switch it up just a little bit today, and instead of going through the theory and then demo, we thought we'd jump straight into the demo, let everyone get a good feel of what the tool looks like, how the tool can be used within different business segments, and then just to have a good understanding while we go through the rest of the presentation today. So there's two parts.
Just before we start, Craig, just to make it very clear to customers, there's a million different kinds of Copilots and AI. Some of the products that we've developed as a business for our customers at PB Tech is around the Azure OpenAI service, and some of the Azure tools which can change the way that your business operates and make some automation and some things within your business environment and your legacy software and all of those kinds of things. What we're demonstrating right now is Microsoft Copilot for Copilot for Microsoft 365. So this is how Microsoft have taken the tools that they got essentially from ChatGPT and implemented them in working alongside the Microsoft product toolset. So there is many different ways of utilizing AI in your business, and this is the one that it's going to come along thick and fast because Microsoft have put their weight behind it. And so it's really, really exciting to be able to see how you'll be able to utilize it if you're an office worker. So go ahead, Craig, jump in and show us how to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks very much, Rodney. So from a tool perspective, we've got what is known as on the screen it says Bing Chat Enterprise, but Microsoft has renamed this to just Copilot. And then secondly, I'll take you through Microsoft 365 Copilot, and I'll explain the differences in a sec. So firstly, Copilot, aka or formerly known as Bing Chat Enterprise, this is really our corporate version or our enterprise version of ChatGPT. So Liam made mention of, and quite correctly so, that a lot of personal data has been leaked through the public LLM models, whereas this is closed to your organization. So data that you're inputting into the query here is not being shared outside of your organization. So that's the key differentiator between Copilot versus ChatGPT. So we can access this via our browsers, so via mobile phones. We can access it via our Edge browser or any of the other browsers that we might use. So whatever your preference is, you're able to access it. And it's basically bing.com/chat. And you'll basically see that you'll have access to it. If you are running anything from business standard and up, you'll have access to Copilot. So first things first, I'm going to use a demonstration here around doing a general search that we would do, for example, with our favorite search engine. But instead of me putting this into Bing search, for example, I would rather than put it into the chat and ask it to give me a response. Now we have some options around the conversation style we want. So creative is going to be more creative around its imagination. It's going to have a look for differences, not just give you this precise information. We've got balance, which is the best of both worlds, or we've got precise when we're looking for specific information. So here I've asked it to give me a recommendation on best practices for deploying Defender for Business, which is basically a security package. It'll then go out, it'll give me all the information that it has, and it'll also cite the sources that it is utilizing for that information and providing it to me. So now we've had a look at that, we've done the deployment, we're quite happy with it, but now we want to take it a step further. So we want to look at, for example, implementing a security feature within our organization where we want to block a specific file execution. So we're making sure that our users are safe. But we're not sure exactly how to do this because we don't have the necessary skills or the time to write that script up. So we can actually ask it to do it for us. So here I'm asking it to write a JSON script for me that I can import into Intune. And it'll then go and basically build that structure out for me where I can copy and paste that into my Intune files and deploy that and make the changes that are required. So you can see it can give us information based on text and based on sources, or it can actually build out sample sets for us to work on and make changes accordingly. The last thing I just want to show you quickly from a Copilot perspective is really around how it can also generate content for our document creation. So over here, I'm going to ask it to create a statement of work to deploy Intune to a single site with 50 users. And what it'll do, it'll then start building out that text-based response for me that I'm able to copy and paste into Word and then make any changes that I need to for the environment. So super powerful. As I'm sure you're all aware, I'm sure you've all used ChatGPT before. Just keep in mind that this is the corporate version of it. So all the data that you're inputting there is safe from the public domain. Now, if we want to take this a step further and we want to say, okay, fine, this is fantastic. We can copy and paste this into our Word documents, but how do we interact with current documents and current company data that we have within our organization? Now, this is where Microsoft 365 Copilot comes into play. So if we have a look in a blank Word document, for example, over here, now I have I have Copilot installed. You can see it sitting in my ribbon over here, but I can basically ask it to write me a statement of work based on, and then you can see I'm able to reference files sitting within my organization. So what I've done here is I'm saying, write me a statement of work based on the following proposal. So this may be a document that someone else created that I've got access to, or it can be something that I've built up notes in a meeting and I want to write the statement of work based on that. I can click on generate, and what it'll do then is it's going to actually go through and make sure I have the right permissions to access that file. It's also going to have a look at all my policies and make sure that I'm not going to be breaking any data loss prevention policy or anything like that prior to building this out. So you can see it's going to go through the document, it's going to break out the statement of work, and it's basically going to use that information from that document that I have referenced and then push it out into a statement of work for me. Now, what I can do as well is once this is finished, it'll take another second or two. I can see over here, for example, I've got costs and payments sitting in here. So I might want to not have that in the statement of work right now. So you can see right at the end, once it's completed, it's going to give us an option for us to make changes to the document. So just give it one more second. This should be the last section. There we go. So you can see we've got a statement of 1 of 1. So now what I want to do is I want to say, okay, fine, this is great, but remove those costs. What it will do then is rewrite the document as is, but it will remove what I've asked it to do or add what I've asked it to do. So we should be able to see now it'll go through, but those costs would then be removed. And I can basically build the document by giving it general requests, just as I would a search engine or asking it a question. I can just tell it how I want this document to be defined using plain English without having to go and do any of the formatting itself. And you'll see after this is completed now, the cost will be removed and it'll basically just give us a generic paragraph around the costs that are associated with the statement of work. The next thing I want to do is, as soon as this is finished, I had a look at the document and I found a gap. Okay, there's no executive summary. So let's ask it to add an executive summary now. So we can just do exactly that. It'll refine the document, and then right in the beginning of the document, it'll put an executive summary based on the information that I have set or that I've pointed it to in that previous document that we have. So this is how we start building out this capability or these documentations. And this is where Copilot really comes into its own, because it's going to be that that assistant that's going to be sitting in your toolbar that you're able to utilize and get work and documentation done far quicker than you would by writing this out by yourself. What we can also do is we can have a look and see, for example, okay, cool, let's just wait for this to finish. I can actually ask it questions in the side panel over here. So this is going to be finished now, and I want to make sure that the tone is right. So the tone I'm looking for is maybe professional, that it's flowing nicely. So I can actually ask Copilot to tell me what type of tone is this document written in, and it'll basically go have a look and it'll say, okay, cool, I think this is in a professional tone, or I think this is in a humorous tone, or whatever it may be, and we can make those changes according to how we want to. We can also ask, what is the purpose of the document? And then it will go and give us a summary of the document. And basically, if you have a large document that's maybe 100 pages long and you want to understand what the document is about prior to reading the whole thing, we are able to engage with it through this, through the ribbon as well. So the next one I want to take us through is really PowerPoint. So again, PowerPoint is going to be super helpful when we're creating quick slides based on Word documents. So again, we're going to power up Copilot sitting in our ribbon. We are then able to ask it to create slides from a specific file. So you can see over here what I'm doing is I'm saying create slides from, and then all I'm doing is pointing it to the location of where I've stored this file. So this is sitting in my SharePoint now. What it's going to do then is it's going to go and have a look at the document. Again, check the permissions, check that we have the right permissions to be able to extract data from that document. And what it will do then is start building out the slides based on the text information sitting in that Word document. So we are able to reference, I think it's Word and PDF at the moment, but I'm sure that'll just get better and better as the tool matures. So you can see over here, it's basically going to give us an outline of what it is building. So we can already see that this is a cybersecurity document that we're building out. And what it'll do is it'll actually put in images, it'll put in speaker notes as well as the content based on that document that I pushed out. So we would just give us a couple of seconds and we should start seeing the slides being generated.
Craig, we've got a couple of questions here,
Sure.
just with a common theme. Obviously, we are using the tool to change a document using the context of the input that you're giving it. Now, the input that you're giving it is saved in your tenancy, and nobody else can access that. But the tool in itself is obviously getting information from outside of the organization. The concern is, how do we know that the information that it's drawing upon within your organization is not going outside? And secondly, if you've got a Word document and you're using the tool to make some changes to it and insert it into PowerPoint or Word, as you've just shown us, if we made a whole lot of changes to the way that it was presented in that Word document, how does Copilot then learn to make those changes for other people within your organization as well?
Yeah, so great question. So basically what's going to happen is you're going to get a large language model within your tenancy. It's using that metadata to learn how that is working within an organization. So from a data perspective, we have two options. We can either completely turn off public access from a Microsoft 365 Copilot perspective. What that means is that it's not going to reference anything outside of your organization. So you would point to template files, you would point it to images, where to pull the images from, etc. And it'll basically learn where those images are available and then go search for those locations. So your richness of accessibility to third-party data would become limited if you did that, but you would then increase that your data is not leaving the organization from a metadata and a search perspective. So if I put in, for example, a piece of my code in this environment, that code's not going to leave the environment, but the search might say, okay, cool, I'm looking for some examples here for making code changes, but the code doesn't actually ship outside of the organization. So from a learning perspective, it's really going to be around trial and error in some ways, because we can all, and Microsoft refers to it as art of the possible. So basically what it is utilizing the commands and the tools within your environment to get the best out of it. And once you have that, you need to be able to share that approach and share how we're going to be questioning the tool to be able to give us the right output. Because if I put in the same command twice, for example, in Excel, and I'll show you guys just now, I might get a different response each time. And it's going to learn what responses I'm saving and what I'm keeping. And you can see over here, you've got a thumbs up and a thumbs down. So I'm going to teach this that I'm happy with the responses it's giving me, or I'm not happy with the responses it's giving me, and then it'll make those changes and make those adjustments gradually over time.
So say, for example, you wanted to add a PBTech logo that was saved on your SharePoint site to this proposal that you've just made, and you wanted to add it in page 1, you would type that in there. Microsoft, in the wider sense, would know that you've asked for that instruction, but they still wouldn't actually get access to the PBTech logo because it's privately in your tenant. Gotcha.
Exactly, yeah. So you can see over here, it's built out the slides based on that information. You can see it's also put in the speaker notes. So whatever those speaker notes are, and then we can go ahead and make any changes that we need from the environment. So you can see these, for example, these images here would have been pulled from the public internet. So these will be open source images that don't have any copyright infringements. But if we close that off to the public internet, we wouldn't be able to pull these. So then we would have to just tell Copilot where to find images to be able to pull into the document. Now, if we have a look at the slides, for example, I'm just taking a note. I'm like, oh, okay, great. It's great, but I don't have an executive summary slide. So what I can do is then just ask it to create an executive summary slide. Again, it's going to utilize the information that I have provided in the reference file, and it will add a executive summary slide for me within the deck that we have up. Well, it should. Let's give it a go again. Let's see. As Murphy would have it. But basically, what happens is it usually basically creates an executive summary slide, and then puts that into the PowerPoint presentation. Oh, there we go. It does there. So we've got that slide, and then we can basically also say, cool, move slide to 1, and that'll move it up to the first slide type thing. So we can interact with the deck just using that ribbon that's over there. So really, really powerful stuff. So from an Excel perspective, we are also again able to engage with tables. So for example, here I have fictitious numbers. So this is income expenditure. And basically we can just ask it to give certain things. So show me the trends for 2023 in a graph. It'll go and analyze this data and then bring through suggestions around what I'm able to do. So for example, over here, it's going to give me a sum of Feb. If I don't like those insights, I can ask for another one. It'll just basically cycle through different options that are available to you. Again, we can also interact with the table. So for example, I can say, I want you to bold the top 10 income for the Jan table. So in the column F, we should see that it will bold the top 10 numbers of income that we have within the document itself. So there we go. We've got a couple of bold numbers stripping through. We can also add columns or make changes to the table itself. So I'm being vague here on purpose because I wanted to give me some ideas around what it can do. So I'm just saying add a column for average per month. So I'm not saying anything what specifics I want, because maybe I'm not sure exactly what I'm trying to achieve here. It'll then generate formulas for me that I'm able to go through and cycle through and see what's going to be the best fit for me. And if I'm happy with that formula, I can then just click add and it will add it to my table as well. So you can see over here, it's giving me a suggestion for average per month. It'll explain the formula for me as well. So that's what it's going to add. And if I'm happy for it, I can just click on insert column and we'll put it in for me. I can also basically do some filters. So any formatting that you do want to do, I can just basically say, cool. So I have business units here, software, advertising, hardware, etc. I'll just say to it, well, I don't want to see the other business units, just show me the ones that are software. So just standard filtering that we would usually do. You can see that it's done that. And then basically also ask it to just give me a visual, of trends within 2023. The whole idea around it is that we can interact with it. We can add visuals. So you can see over here, it's giving me this. And if I want to add it, what it'll do is it'll add it to what is known as a sandbox, which is basically another tab within Excel. And if I'm happy with it, then I can obviously merge it into the main document and save it, so forth. So yeah, very, very powerful stuff. The Copilot or Microsoft 365 Copilot works pretty much across the 365 apps suite. So if I can show you quickly, just maybe a more fun one, but if you guys use Whiteboard or do use any Whiteboard for your meetings or for your huddles, your brainstorming, that type of stuff, I use this quite a lot. So if we get into a meeting and, for example, we have just gotten a new opportunity, it's with a banking customer and they're looking at implementing artificial intelligence. And we basically want to just brainstorm what compliance issues they might face. So instead of us building out the sticky notes and the talking points by ourselves, I'm just going to ask it to list the latest compliance issues faced by the banking industry with AI. There we go. It's giving me 6. I'm going to say generate more. And then it should give me 12. And then we can insert that onto our whiteboard. And we basically got talking points straight away that we can talk off. We can also categorize those. So we can ask it to just put those in categories for us rather than just speaking to them in general terms. And then what I'll do is I'll go and have a look at all of the content of those and put that into a nice little nice little view for us to be able to just discuss and have built-in content. So yeah, it'll work across that. It'll work across Loop. There's other apps that we'll use like OneNote, etc. So I think
got the question here about Power BI. Is that Power BI is one of the most tricky things to get your head around in the Microsoft suite. Is Copilot available for that?
Yes. So again, keep in mind that a lot of the Copilots are in preview, but yes, there is going to be a Copilot for Power Platform. There's going to be Copilots for GitHub, for Azure. There's probably going to be Copilots for literally everything that you need. So yes, there's going to be a Copilot for that as well.
In Microsoft sales pitch, we hear that they're going to have plugins for SAP, for ServiceNow, for all of the other, larger pieces of software available. Have we seen any of that actually done yet, or is that the pipe dream?
Yeah, no, fantastic question, Rodney. So the pre-engagement from a data perspective within Microsoft 365 Copilot is that all your data sitting within OneDrive and SharePoint will be accessible, and you are able to utilize those data points. What Microsoft is building out, and you see more and more of it becoming to the forefront, is really around plugins and basically utilizing external data sources and being able to present that to your Copilot through things like plugins and through things that are known as like a semantic index. So we are going to start seeing very robust and capable plugins where we are able to bring in data from things like Dropbox or SAP or whatever it may be via those plugins, and then actually be able to utilize Copilot within Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc., and not have to only have the data sitting within OneDrive and SharePoint.
Excellent, thanks, Craig. Liam, why don't you jump in now and tell us a little bit about how to get this thing?
Cool, thanks, Rodney. Could you just skip to the licensing?
Go.
Cool, thank you. Cool. So I just saw a couple of questions come through in the chat just around price and region availability and whatnot. So just to start off with, obviously Craig's been demonstrating the majority of what we call the Microsoft 365 Copilot. So that's the tool, I guess, most of you are here to, I guess, see and talk about. And in terms of general availability, it's not fully released yet. So it's still what we call in private preview. So what that basically means at the moment, the only options for purchasing are for those enterprise agreement customers, or EA we call that, with a minimum of 300 seats. So not super helpful for the New Zealand region, let's be honest. But we will see an SMB, or I guess a CSP and cloud equivalent come out next year. So we don't know exactly when this will be yet, but at this stage, we know that the prerequisite for licensing at this stage is E3 or E5 under the M365 suite. And again, this may be subject to change when the 300 seat minimum purchase is lifted. I do see there being an option for that SMB level, especially for those business premium customers, as that's one of their hero SKUs, of course. So again, not currently available to the NCE and CSP catalog just yet. Obviously, functionality for M365 Copilot does include that for Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Outlook, Teams, and Loop. So at the moment, Microsoft is still not accepting any new demo or trial tenants for testing. I suppose that's, my crystal ball probably predicts that's due to GPU shortages in those data centers, which they're probably upgrading as we speak. So just want to be sure of that. But however, just the standard Copilot, which Craig showed, formerly known as Bing Chat Enterprise, that comes with M365 Business Standard and Premium license as a baseline, and obviously the Enterprise E3, E5 SKUs cover that also. So you do have some Copilot products already out. If you wanted to skip to the next slide, please, Rodney.
Hey, Leah, just before you jump over, there was a question about Copilot only being available to enterprise licenses within the Microsoft 365. Is it fair to say that we believe that that's the case at this point in time, only because it's available to enterprise agreement holders?
So at this stage, yes, it's just because it's for enterprise agreement customers, and the majority of them are obviously, they have to use enterprise SKUs. So that kind of the two work harmoniously together, I guess. So definitely see that changing in the future for SMB and for just general cloud. And I guess I also see a question from Kenny just talking about O365 E3. So one thing with O365 versus M365, I don't know if they'll release it for the O365 suite because it lacks a lot of stuff around the Azure Active Directory or Entra ID, sorry, Azure Info Protection, things like that. So I'm going to say it's going to be for the M365, not the legacy O365 suite. Might end up being phasing out of O365. Cool. So a bit about the suite release. So we look at the modern workplace side first, obviously just Copilot, formerly Bing Chat Enterprise, that is released, and again, part of business standard upwards. Windows Copilot, that is released also as part of Windows 11 suite. M365 Copilot is the big one, which is TBC. Alongside that, we are waiting under the business apps suite for Dynamics 365 is still TBC. Same with Power Platform. I saw there was also a question just around if it's going to be tied to capacity only SKUs. I don't believe so, but again, yet to be seen. However, Sales Copilot is released, and that comes with Sales Enterprise, the Dynamics 365 SKU. So that is also released, which links in with your Outlook, which is quite cool. So I've been playing around with that a bit. Under App and Innovation, so GitHub Copilot is absolutely released and was actually the first one to be released. And then under Power BI, again, still TBC, and Security Copilot, which is also a big one, which is, again, TBC also. So as you can sort of see, general theme is still a lot to be released, but we are slowly getting these from Microsoft as they come up. And same with, of course, Azure Copilot, Microsoft Copilot for Azure. That is also in the works too. So we big 2024 ahead, I believe, and especially when Microsoft have a lot of those GPUs and those data centers sorted so they can start processing all this and actually have a SMB product available. Because you're right, it is a bit of a disadvantage for SME at the moment, but that will absolutely change.
Excellent. So now I'm just going to go through a distinct difference. So we've been talking about Microsoft Copilot and how it uses the Microsoft tools to make the office worker that uses Excel, PowerPoint, Power BI more efficient, building Word documents and all those kinds of things. So that's an absolute legitimate use of Copilot to come out early next year, mid next year, for you to get your office workers working. Now, what PB Tech have done is used our own AI development. So we're using some of the Azure Open AI service to host some Azure platform into our business, insert APIs from our ticketing engine to make our tickets more active and our staff overall being able to be more responsive and get through more work. So this is associated with the Microsoft Office suite. This is our own ticketing engine. So I'm going to show you an example quickly here of what PB Tech do. So if you email our web sales team, like this particular customer has, and said, I was at the letterbox and I realized my paint hadn't arrived, and I assumed that it would. So we get all these email inquiries all the time. As you can imagine, our staff would be sitting down here going, well, how am I going to find out that? You haven't told me the order number, you haven't told me what the paint is that you want, etc., etc. So we in our ticketing engine have got that wonderful button there that says AI response, and our staff now click on it, and it uses the language tools to write an email response to that particular customer. It looks through all of his order history. It looks through the products that he wants, that we think he's talking about, which is paint, inserts the part number, inserts his order number that we think he's talking about, looks up the ETA from our supplier and tells them it's going to be the 19th of December, apologizes and be's very nice, and then we click send. Of course, with our ticketing engine, we might AI gets it wrong sometimes. So that's where we are actually editing this and then clicking send, and our learning engine realizes the changes that we've made and then updates our database, updates the learning engine, and makes our AI bot within the PB Tech ticketing engine get better and better and better. As you can imagine, what that's done for us as a business is it's made us much, much more efficient. So it means that our same number of staff can get through so many more tickets than they were before. So for a PB Tech, that's been an amazing innovation. Next one is a similar kind of bot that we've made for one of our customers. So they were receiving orders from their customers in PDF or emails. We've utilized the same process to develop a system for them where we take a PDF from an email chain. We've inserted that into our order, our tech bot. We've scraped the PDF. We've made some estimations around using AI around what the customer is wanting to order. We've given them a PDF button up the top there, the little blue button, so that they can use their second screen to open up the actual PDF that the customer has sent and compare it to what our AI engine has released and picked up. And then we have got a confirm button, or we've got a learn from my changes button. So those learn from my changes is really a critical part of utilizing a staffing situation to feel like they're a part of the process and actually utilizing the efficiencies that are available with AI and available with the OpenAI service and machine learning, but to bring the staff with you and actually make the efficiencies in a staffing teamwork environment really work. So that's what we've done for our customer. We of course write back to their customer, telling them in wonderful language about how wonderful their order is going to be and when it's going to arrive, etc., etc. So those are the things that you can do when you're developing your own AI bots and using the Azure AI service. So we've PB Tech are capable of working with you on developing something like that for you, but that's a distinct difference compared to Microsoft's release of Copilot for Microsoft 365. So two different utilizations, both using AI in general, but one is for making your office workers more efficient, and the other one is potentially for making your business more efficient. So, Victor, over to you, perhaps.
Cool, thank you. Now, it's just a quick one for me. So I just wanted to say that the presentation that we done around the Copilot that Craig just delivered was, it's obviously a preview version, like he mentioned, right? So we're just scraping the surface of the potential of that tool and what it can do. And I assume that once Microsoft actually releases the product to the wider Microsoft business client base in New Zealand or all over the world, we're going to start to learn how to do, how to utilize the tool and use features that potentially you didn't see it today. So yeah, just keep the eyes out, and it's going to be a more comprehensive product we expect when it's available, hopefully next year. So what we can do from now. So a lot of us, I think, will be probably convinced that this is a great system or application to implement. Like I said, hopefully available 2024 for most Microsoft clients without the requirements to be in an enterprise agreement or have an enterprise license, hopefully available to business premium, business standard. But we do now have an opportunity window to actually work on the groundworks that Craig mentioned on his presentation as well. So there was a lot of questions around data security and levels of control. This is exactly what we can use this time now to analyze and make sure that your organization is actually ready to receive and implement a tool like Copilot or like Bard from Google, whatever that is, right? So obviously, the AI tools facilitate access to data, and you want to make sure that you don't have the wrong user with the wrong access to the wrong information, right? So if we do that well, that exercise, then you can implement the tool fast, and it's going to work reliably and securely in your organization, right? So it's not necessarily a complex exercise. I think there was a comment from somebody as well saying, hey, is that going to be too complex, or is a lot of pre-configurations required? Not really, just depends on how you're using, which databases you have your data in, etc. but we do have programs in place and guidance resource for our clients to start working with them on preparing them for deploying Copilot right now. So it's not necessarily a chargeable exercise. If you do have IT operations in-house, if you do have some capability, and you choose to engage with PB Tech for your Microsoft 365 licensing, then we'll be providing the guidance and the roadmap and the next steps for you to actually make sure you're doing the groundwork and you're ready when the tool is available. If you choose the component to outsource the component and get us to actually look through and do that exercise for you, make sure the foundations is right for you to implement an AI system, we do that through a program as well. And that's obviously a charged exercise is delivered by a team, by a global team actually, to prepare you to do that. It's just important to highlight that the guidance and the programs is available to PB Tech Microsoft 365 licensing clients only. And that's due to the amount of time that we spend to actually go through and work on this with our clients. We're already having this at the moment. We're already doing that, and we cannot make it available to everybody. So I think it's a great opportunity for you guys to engage with us if you're not getting your Microsoft 365 licensing from us yet, to have a look on our great rates. We have an awesome licensing portal as well that you can use to access your license, buy new ones, instantly get added to your Microsoft Admin Center. And obviously, you get access to our support and specialist team, which is going to guide you along the way. So come with us. We'll help you prepare for the AI revolution that Leon mentioned at the beginning. It is true, it's happening, and we just got to be ready for it. On top of that, we're making a commitment to all our clients that as soon as Microsoft 365 Copilot is available in New Zealand, we will allocate a handful of licenses for all our Microsoft 365 clients. And that's the full paid version, but subsidized by us for a month. And you can assign those licenses to a couple of stakeholders, get the feel of the tool, to see if that's really going to work before you make the decision of rolling everything out. Okay, so we really wanted to partner up with our clients along the way. And I think we now have time to work on this. So if you have questions, if you want to hear more about it, if you want to start engaging with our team, then just send an email to us at licensing@pbtech.co.nz. If you don't remember that email address, I'll quickly share my screen with you. You can go to our website here when you do your Christmas shopping. Just click on department, go on software, and that's got all of the products that we work with and all communications to different teams and different pages about the products that we work with. But you scroll down, just populate the form right here, and one of our Microsoft 365 team members is going to be in touch with you. So come to us. Let's start a discussion this side of Christmas. Perfectly fine. And we'll help you guys prepare for AI when, all these tools are available to us. So yeah, back to you, Ronnie.
Thank you, Victor. So it's now 12:47. We've overshot by 2 minutes, which is quite an exceptional feat, I would have thought. Look, thank you for sticking around. What we're going to do is stay on this call and go scroll back up and look through all the questions and stay around for questions and answers. So if you do have any questions, keep them coming. We'd really appreciate you coming along. If you don't have any questions and you can't be bothered listening to us answer them, then we really appreciate you turning up, and you're free to go. But for those that do have questions, let's stay around and we'll stay here for as long as you need us. So we've just got one question regarding PB Tech's ticketing engine that I saw around our security. Obviously, as we pointed out in demonstration, data integrity when it comes to AI is absolutely critical. It is. If you use ChatGPT, then we'd be putting all of our orders out to the internet, et cetera, and would be giving away people's private information. So that's not possible. So all of the data within PB Tech's implementation, and in fact our other customers' implementation that we did for them, is completely locked up in their Azure platform, and it goes nowhere. So the security around designing an AI solution is absolutely critical. In PB Tech's case, it's really convenient that a customer's email address is also their username within our database. So when you email PB Tech into our Streaky Bacon, as somebody's outed us for the name of our tool, we know that that is the particular user. So and that user's got access to receive the information about their order. So it's I'm sure we didn't design it that way back in 20 years ago when we started working on our website, but it's very convenient for us that the email address is the username, so that we can manage that data sovereignty. Somebody else jump in here with another question.
There was one here, if Copilot is going to be available on web versions of the Microsoft apps. I think it's difficult to say right now. Liam, if you have any information around the licensing component of that, I know the web version is usually a frontline license or a business basic, so potentially not. But I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think Craig actually confirmed that it would be available in the Office Online version, which is actually really cool.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can just clarify that. So what I meant by that is that if you have a SKU that is a prerequisite, so for example, right now it's E3. If you went onto office.com and used Word, Excel, PowerPoint in the online version, you would have access to Copilot. I'm not saying that Copilot will be available in a home edition or a basic edition of a license. That's what I say. So, but the capability is certainly there from an online perspective, as well as a client app sitting on your desktop as well.
Excellent. Right, I think that looks to be most of them. What we'll do from here is email everybody that was on the call with some information about next steps, what we can do. Would really appreciate, as Victor said, for you to work with us to move your licensing over to PB Tech, and then we can avail you of all of the training and the setup requirements that you could potentially use to make sure that you maximize Copilot as it comes into 2024. And if you need to contact us regarding making a business critical change that can really make your business more efficient as opposed to Office and Microsoft Suite more efficient, then please make contact with us. Craig, you're on mute.
Sorry, there's a couple of more questions that I saw there. So from Colin, there was will IT departments be able to train the Copilot to tailor its responses? Great question. So the pre-built Copilots that Microsoft has, they're going to learn and train for themselves. But if you wanted to start with your own Copilot, we can create custom Copilots within your organization, and that'll all be done through what is known as Copilot Studio. We will be able to build these Copilots ourselves, develop on them, and train them to do what we want them to do.
Colin, an example of that is the ticketing engine Copilot that we utilized. When we first started doing it, it was far too generous. So it would say, sorry, sir, that your order was delayed. Here's a $20 voucher to make up for it. And it's like, whoa, Copilot, you're too generous with PB Tech's money. So we do need to keep an eye on that, and do need to train it in regards to the responses that it gives. So that is most definitely possible. But as Craig mentioned, that is through Copilot Studio or other versions of the Azure AI platform, not in Microsoft Copilot.
There's another question from Megan. How well will this work on a slow internet connection? Megan, I haven't tested that, but my assumption would be not so great, but I'm not 100% sure. But I do believe that there's quite a lot of chats going between the large language models and your machine. So I would assume that the service would be pretty degraded from a response perspective. Another question from William: can Microsoft Copilot handle complex multi-step tasks? Yes, it can. So we can ask it to do one thing and reference certain things. Again, if you're wanting it to do something custom, we would then look at building our custom Copilots using Copilot Studio, and bring in that Power Automate as well, where we can create flows and ask it to do certain things and put data in places before executing the next step. So from a capability perspective, we can build this as big and as complex as you like, because we have those large language models and the capability in the background.
Craig, just a question regarding accessing your files. We saw you in the demonstrations of accessing something that was on your SharePoint site, which is sort of part of the Microsoft environment anyway.
Yes.
What if you had a NAS in the back corner office with all of your files stuck on that in your old G drive or whatever it is?
Yeah.
Can you utilize Microsoft to access files on a local disk?
Yeah, unfortunately not. So your data has to be stored in supported storage locations. So for M365 Copilot, that would be OneDrive and SharePoint right now. And then when we bring in those plugins, as well as that semantic index, if you built an API to access that NAS, then perhaps, yes, you'd be able to access it, but would it require that custom connector?
Excellent. Last question is Copilot constantly learning external data, such as new legislation from government and all those kinds of things?
I have no idea, to be honest. I would assume that it's learning whatever we're going to be feeding it. But yeah, from a legislation perspective, I think I'd be speaking out of turn if I gave you a concrete answer on how well it's learning those data points, unfortunately. So yeah, I don't know if anyone else in the panel has an answer.
A related question, when you use ChatGPT and it says, "Oh, I only know stuff from the internet from 2021." And maybe the question is regarding how current.
Okay. No, fantastic.
Data
Yes. So the data points that it is utilizing is always up to date. So it's not like a Google Maps image, that a snapshot that it takes at a certain point, and then only 6-7 months later that'll do another one. It is always refreshing those links and those sources that it does have access to. So if that legislation that it is reading is up to date and that it has that capability and that understanding, then it will give you the correct data back. But you'll see that every response that they give, it'll say it's AI generated, that content may be incorrect. So what Microsoft is pushing here is basically understanding that AI does get it wrong, and it is up to us to basically review the information that it is providing back to us.
Excellent. Okay, team. Well, let's sign off, and we'll be in touch with you over email. And really appreciate you attending the session, and hopefully it was helpful.